All right, well, I was out for a hike today, planning to do a video on watercress, which we're going to see a little bit later on, and I happened to come across this find right here. All of this stuff right in here. You can see how tall it is. I'm a little bit less than 6 feet tall. This stuff towers over me. This is the first time I've ever seen this stuff get this big. Do you know what it is? This is wild asparagus, and it's growing in this clump of bushes right here. We're real close to a stream, and so it likes this environment. But this is how you find asparagus. We're going to have another video coming up on how you find asparagus in the springtime when it's ready. And this is how you do it. You look for the old stalks, last year's dead stalks. This is amazing. I've never seen it grow this tall, but I just wanted to pass that on, and we'll have a video on how to find wild asparagus later on. Find some watercress here today. We're going to make a video on how to find and use watercress. I come to one of my favorite places, usually has an abundant supply of watercress, and there's none here this year. So we're going to try our second favorite spot, and we're going to show you how to find it, how to use it, how to enjoy it. Oh, here's a good bunch of it right here. Finally, we got some. It's been a long, cold winter here, and so really, what does the wild food forager do in the wintertime? Is there still food that you can find? So what do you do when the spring greens aren't coming up yet and the fruits and berries of summer are still months away? Can you still get out there and find some wild food that you can forage? Well, thankfully, there's still food to be found if you need to satisfy that urge to eat some wild things. Now, in streams, slow-moving streams and along the edges of some ponds, you can look, and most likely here in this area you can find watercress. It's not hard to find, although today we did have some trouble. For some reason, the stream that I'm used to going to didn't have any in it. Now, watercress is part of the mustard family. It's one of the first plants that's going to appear in spring, and actually you can harvest this all year long. Its scientific name is Nasturtium officinale. Now that's pretty fancy, but you'll recognize that name if you like to grow flowers, because it is related to the garden flower nasturtium. So here in Colorado, especially along the more temperate Front Range, watercress can be harvested all year round, like I said. Just look for slow-moving streams, or you can find it on the edges of ponds too, but you want to make sure of your source. Make sure that the water is clean. True watercress is always found in water, and it's always going to have white or pale lavender flowers. Now, the plant that we have here grows in the water, and it also grows on the banks along the streams and ponds, and it bears yellow flowers. So it probably can't really be considered actual watercress. Ewell Gibbons actually calls it wintercress. Either way, it's a great plant to find and makes a great addition to a winter salad, or you can put it on sandwiches. But like I said before, you got to make sure that the water that you're harvesting out of is clean. This is a water source that I actually trust. Just a little bit to the east of me here is Monument Creek, and that water stinks. Now, I did find some watercress in there, but I wouldn't trust picking watercress out of there or any other plant that grows in there. The reason that you want to make sure that the water is clean, basically you just want to make sure there are no chemicals, no pollutants in it, because that is going to transfer to the plant. So when you harvest, you want to make sure that you're not pulling up the whole plant. Don't just grab the plant and yank it out of there. You want to make sure you leave the roots, so that way you can keep coming back regularly and picking more, because it will just keep replenishing itself, growing new leaves on it. So just pinch it off with your fingernails, or use some scissors or a pocket knife. You want to make sure that you wash it thoroughly before you're eating it, because pretty much every stream in a populated area, especially where there's a lot of wildlife, you've got to expect that there could be disease organisms living in that water. And if you just pop it right in your mouth, there's a very good chance you could end up with Giardia or some other problem like that that's going to affect you very negatively. We don't want that to happen. Okay, then the best way to use it is to just put it fresh into a salad after you've washed it, maybe even a couple times, let it dry. You can put it right into a salad, or you can put it on sandwiches. You can also cook it briefly and just eat it like spinach or any other cooked green. You don't want to overcook this, just very lightly. It's very spicy. Like I said, it is part of the mustard family, so you're going to get quite a bit of a zing if you use enough of it. If you want to cook it, all you have to do is melt 2 tablespoons of bacon fat. Use something that's real fat. You can use lard also. Just put it in a cast iron skillet, add a little garlic to it, and then just put the watercress in there and just stir it for about 3 to 4 minutes. Now you can also, when this starts to go and get flowers, now this particular plant will grow about 6 feet tall, and it's going to produce flower clusters, and you can pick those and eat those just like broccoli. So the next time that you're eager for a fresh salad in the middle of winter or the beginning of spring, don't forget about watercress or wintercress, whatever you want to call it. It's still a great plant to find and use.